I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Rebecca Bohman. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing great. Cold and crisp here in Idaho, but we're doing great.
Oh, Idaho. Ouchie. Yeah, hey. Hey, there's always the email that I have constructed with sunshine, right? Caribbean sunshine that I can send your way. Yeah.
Yeah, I may come and visit you in a couple months for
Sounds
sure.
great. Well, Rebecca, please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks so much for this opportunity. I love your podcast and what you're doing. Probably the talent that connected us, or most likely connected us, was that I'm a podcaster like you.
Yeah.
And I've developed a platform that gives a voice to firestarters in changing the paradigm of how we see education and our families, and all that encompasses with a variety of educational pedagogies.
Yeah,
So
you
that's me.
definitely dive into to content on this podcast. I got the opportunity to listen to pretty amazing stuff. Love
Awesome.
the neutral conversation, if you would. It's really easygoing.
Okay.
Yeah, loved it.
Okay.
So, who did you learn the skill from? The skill of conversation.
Well, it was mostly self-taught. I just love podcasts, but there's a lot of great free courses like John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire. I'm a Google researcher, so I did a lot of that, and YouTube videos, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Love the internet.
Yeah. Who will not love the internet? Yeah, there's definitely a grand opportunity now in the world of the internet. And the podcast is pretty low entry level, right? Like low entry level, high level content though. That definitely comes through there. So you're doing podcasting. You're loving it, right?
Oh yeah, love every minute of it for sure.
Okay, who came up with the name the Luminous Mind?
I did, but I can't remember why. Just mostly just like, I love when, you're thinking about things, how it just kind of like makes this illuminating feeling in your soul, and so anyway, but I've noticed that the luminous mind is also it's very it connects really well with like Buddhism. So I know a lot of people Google me because of that, but it's not really what we do.
So there's the one fire match there as well, right? Was that your idea?
Yeah.
That was your idea?
Actually, that was my niece's. One of the quotes that we say, it's from Benjamin Franklin, and he says, instead of to light a candle, to make others do that, you first have to light your own candle. And so she came up with a match. So thought it was a great logo. Appreciate her help.
Yeah, definitely. So you definitely put this together, and it's feeling as though everything just fell in alignment. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's definitely been trial and error. I've done this like for 3 years now, and so there's some things that I started doing that I've tossed out, and there's other things, people help you better clarify yourself, and I appreciate all the people that listen and do that for me. And so I guess over 3 years it's kind of fallen into place.
That's great. That's good to hear. Well, okay, so you've been doing this. Why will you continue to repeat the skills? Do you see yourself podcasting for the next 10 years?
Oh, probably. Yeah. Especially, if there's just always going to be, I think, that desire, the need to learn how to be, have different educational pedagogies. And it helps to strengthen and encourage other people to kind of choose their unique path in educating themselves and their families. And I think we're kind of on the cusp of a revolution in education. There's a talk of like a lot of entrepreneurship, and also how we're going to choose to stay relevant in our age of smart machines. And so I think, we're going to kind of find ourselves on this continual learning process. So I plan on repeating this skill to kind of help drive that change. So
I love it. Could you explain pedagogies for us?
Pedagogy is just a way of doing something, but so an educational pedagogy would be, just the path that you choose to educate yourself in a certain manner. I mean, and that can be anywhere from a classroom to learning stuff online. I like to focus a lot on educating yourself, that self-directed education. So the pedagogies, but we talk about all kinds of things on my podcast of different ways to learn, to educate yourself or to learn.
Which falls really great in the homeschool learning model, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I kind of, I first put it out there, kind of homeschooling, and we do talk a lot about that. But some people have kind of a negative feeling about homeschooling, but they seem to understand like self-directed learning, because I think we all do that. It doesn't matter if we're young or adults or whatever. Another phrase that people like to use in that is unschooling themselves, which means that you're basically, you're choosing to learn that on your own and nobody's telling you to do that, and I think we all have done that. I mean, I did that to start the podcast, and I'm sure you could think of 10 different things that you taught yourself how to do, and that's kind of what unschooling is. So
yeah. 101, 102. I'm still counting.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, tell us one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
For the last many years, more than 3 probably, I've always had a desire to pray and have religious study. I'm an avid exerciser, and of course I've released podcasts for the last 3 years. So those are the things I do consistently.
What type of exercise are you doing?
I definitely do a lot of weightlifting, but I love anything that gets my heart rate up, because I just find I'm really addicted to those endorphins that I get from that. So
tell me how it makes you feel.
It helps me get the cloud off my mind, and it makes me feel really inspired and refreshed. And, these are just natural endorphins that I'm just extremely addicted to, that I can't imagine any other way to start my day.
Yeah. There's something in a voice that tells the level of fitness. I've been wrong like one time, right? And it happens. But it's really amazing. Like the breath, if you would, per sentence, it's refreshing in the earbuds, I think, when you speak to someone that's really, really fit. And you're definitely sounding that way.
Yeah, they have a lot of energy in your voice, right?
Yeah,
a lot of energy.
You're speaking from an energy perspective and not and it's not like the end of your breath then. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's really refreshing. So why would you suggest to someone that's listening, or someone that's probably sitting in the park when they should be walking, why would you suggest they do what you've done, Rebecca?
Well, I actually also receive a great deal of my inspiration, and we talked about energy from the source, and it kind of helps me be just a better person in society. Like I can go out and rake my neighbor's yard and those kinds of things, and have energy to play with kids and do those types of things. So I'm pretty sure that if you do those 4 things I talked about, that you'll gain, that endorphin and those energies as well. So that's why I'd recommend it.
Wonderful. Well, amazing audience. We are live with Rebecca Bohman. Where's the butler? What does the butler, is that like your maiden name?
That is my maiden name.
Okay, I'm right.
So I'm definitely European somewhere. Bowman is not. It comes from Sweden, but Butler is definitely, English European.
There we go. So amazing audience. We are live with Rebecca Butler Bohman, and she is the podcast host of the Luminous Mind. You could definitely check that out. Rebecca, let's switch gears for a moment now, and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Rebecca, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, I'm feeling that blue. I feel the sun more than anything, but the blue water, yeah. Well, this is a really tough question. I grew up in rural Idaho, and we had a lot of freedom as kids. So my earliest childhood memory would be, riding my bike. We had lots of snow, obviously, so sledding down these enormous sled hills and playing with my siblings. There was always this wonderful sense of freedom and freshness that's in this great Idaho air.
So how old do you think you were in that earliest childhood memory?
I was probably 4 or 5. I mean, old enough to be able to. I'm the third of four siblings, and so they got me out doing stuff pretty early.
So why do you think this memory is so clear?
I I'd say it's because of the powerful positive emotions that's involved in that, that sense of feeling or freedom that I had from living in this, free rural country hometown that I came from. And I've learned through my podcast that emotions really drive our learning, and they help our memory and our understanding, and positive emotions in particular really help us retain information even longer. So I think that's probably why, just because it was such a positive thing.
Love it. If my mic wasn't attached, I would drop it. So you're definitely good. Well done. Well done. All right. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12, that's around 1987. And Madonna, of all people, was my favorite. It was my favorite collected cassette tape at the time. I'm back in that age. But yeah, she had a song called Who's That Girl? And that really stuck out in my mind as I was thinking about this. And, recently I had a guest on my podcast that said that you need to pick the high and low points of your life to best help you find your mission. And that time for me was really a time of discovery of who I was as an individual. And it was a time when I asked lots of questions, and there was a lot of learning as well. So helping other people do that, asking questions and learning, has turned out to be my life's mission. And, but seriously, all intense focus really starts introspectively. So for anybody, I'm sure.
That's another mic that's dropped there. Hey, we need to get to the end of this. Come on.
You're a great host. You make me feel so, intelligent.
Rebecca, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. Are you ready? We're going to move pretty quickly here.
Sure.
Rebecca, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Sure. I'm also a stay-at-home homeschooling mother, so I hope that, my desire to have that self-education, as well as maybe a few other my personal principles, is passed on to those people that I love the most, which is my kids.
Are you married?
Yes, I am. I have an amazing husband of 23 years.
Congratulations.
Picking my sweet husband. He's just the most humble man. Was like the best decision I've ever made. He's helped me to be more authentic and true to myself. So,
wow. So you said you have children. How many children do you have?
I have 4 amazing kids. My first one's about ready to leave the nest, and he's headed to Russia as a humanitarian volunteer. So pretty excited for him.
Wow, it's really good to see the fruit, right? To see the fruit.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do. That's a profound yes. I believe he's like the source of all knowledge and goodness in my particular life. And he's helped me learn from some tragedy as well. But, he's kind of always there as a constant mentor or guide, or, I don't know, teacher in a way.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yeah, I do. I have some great group of other stay-at-home homeschooling moms. They're super smart ladies. They like to buck the system like me, follow their heart, and they've taught me to use my intuition and just have that continual love of learning.
What about TV? Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No, I don't.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yeah, we don't. 3 hours a week? No, not really. Sometimes we don't ever get around to watching TV. We just moved, and I don't even have a TV set up in my house right now. It just isn't a priority for us for some reason.
Rebecca, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook. So yeah, it's named Your Own Unique Real Self, and the idea is you answer questions that then connect you to your mission, if you would, your own unique real statement, that I call it, right?
Yeah.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
My own unique statement is, this personal strength of just formulating questions. I gain personal strength from that and looking at different ways that maybe other people see things. I love like the whole body idea that makes connections between our mind, our spirit, and our body. And I think we're creatures of curiosity. We are curious, and we're here to discover and to use that creativity and, really live in our unique mission as individuals. So, I've just learned that to have love and faith and trust in other people, that they're going to make the best discoveries for themselves, even though that might look extremely painful to me. But learning comes in all forms, and we should not let's don't try to stifle each other in thinking there's only one way to do it.
Love it. Rebecca Bohman, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yeah, I would. I'd love to make a call to action and challenge other people that just ask more questions to themselves and to other people and discover, your unique mission. I'd love to see people searching for understanding as well. As we talk to more people, we respect each other and we find out more about what makes each other tick. We can learn so much from each other if we just face each other with a lot of honesty and love and respect as individuals who all have a different mission in life. I'd love to see more gentleness in our community and less force, there's just one way to do something. So I love the kindness and honesty and respect, and I think that's going to bless your life. And I think this podcast, your podcast, Angel, is the epitome of that example for us. We get to learn about so many people in the world. So thank you for being a leader to us, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It was a great honor, and I wish you all the success in the future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Well, Rebecca Bohman, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.